Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Michelle Thorne from D.A.M.E.S, Differently Abled Mothers Empowerment Society, and I'm very excited to introduce our March webinar speaker, Miss Melanie. And I always address you as Melanie. So what was your last name?
Isaacs.
Isaac. So Miss Melanie Issacs, I had the pleasure of meeting her at the Autism Society of Greater Phoenix conference last year, and she was in the booth next to me with PAL Experiences. And I was just blown away by her story and by what PAL Experiences is. And so, Melanie, I'm just going to tell a little bit about your story. So, Melanie, told me this wonderful story about her working at a aquarium and being on a train and seeing this child as she's talking about the animals that she gets to interact with, and she's on this train with this child and he's getting really excited about it, and she asked the parent, well, does he go to the aquarium? And the parent was like, no. He has autism, like it's way too much. And it changed the complete trajectory of her life. And it's just so touching to know that there are people out there like that who care that deeply about our children and making sure that they want to have the same experiences as everybody else. So without further ado, Melanie, I can't wait for you to give this webinar and to educate everybody about your amazing company.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that introduction, and I liked how you told that story. So thank you for that. It's really, really kind. I felt so lucky that we were booth neighbors, Michelle, because I really am inspired by what you're doing with D.A.M.E.S, and I can't wait to see it take off, because it's really important, and I'm really happy to be here and share a bit about PAL Experiences with your network, because our mission is really to take some of this load off of everybody's plate, right? So I'll explain how we do that, but our goal is to empower families impacted by autism and other related intellectual and developmental disabilities to enjoy more shared away from home experiences. So whether that's at a game, at an aquarium, having a more successful trip to urgent care, we're trying to take some of the stress off of a family's plate to provide more opportunity for fun. So today I'd like to share a little bit about the why of PAL, how we got our start, why we exist. I'll touch on who PAL serves. We'll talk about how we serve that community, and then the impact for our business partners, which we call PAL Places, and the impact for our families. So this first slide has pictures from these are some of our different partners at different events we host. So this is what motivates me every day, these smiles. So the why of PAL. So Michelle touched on kind of our roots, and I'm really made my heart happy that you even remembered that story. But yes, I used to be a marine biologist, and I was getting my master's in marine biology and also working at the Shed Aquarium in Chicago in 2009. And I had this interaction that Michelle mentioned on the L. I was just coming home from work and wearing my uniform that had the Shed logo, inspired a conversation from a dad. And as we're chatting about these sharks, his son was getting more and more excited. At first, just kind of smiling, and then jumping, and then flapping. And, he was just pumped about the sharks. And when I asked if they liked to visit, and they quickly said, no, our son has autism and it would be way too hard, my heart was broken. And they got off the train, and I finished my commute just with so many questions in my head. I didn't understand what it was about autism that made visiting a place so great like the aquarium so hard. I wondered, where else this family wasn't going. And I was starting to think about what the aquarium could do to help. And growing up, you know, I kind of identified with this feeling of isolation. I grew up with my uncles who had muscular dystrophy, and physical accommodations were a huge barrier for our family. And I remember even as a little girl reading 3 books and earning a personal pizza at Pizza Hut, and I was so proud of my achievement, and my family was proud. And so we loaded the van, which was its own thing, and got to Pizza Hut, and there were 4 stairs, and we couldn't get my Uncle Brian's chair up the stairs. And I remember being very frustrated at a young age that, you know, pizza should be for everyone. I like pizza. Uncle Brian likes pizza. Why was the community not kind of putting these accessible tools in place for us to enjoy it like everybody else? You know, luckily with the Americans with Disabilities Act, physical accommodations are now mandated, although, you know, it's not 100%, but when I met this family on the train, I started thinking about the word accessibility and how it's a great big word, and it means a lot more than ramps. And the family I met on the train needed something else to have a good experience at the aquarium. So for my master's thesis, I switched it from studying cephalopod, which is octopus behavior, to creating a set of tools to help kids with autism come to the aquarium. And I had a lot of research to do, and long story short, we ran a pilot and invited a group of kiddos from Camelot Therapeutic Day School. They had never taken a field trip, and I don't know how they agreed to come with me, but we created these tools, and I worked with the class before we got there, preparing them on what to expect. When we got to the aquarium, it worked. We had a really great time, and it was a powerful moment for me where I knew, you know, this is what I wanted to do with my life. So here we are today. So this is probably all familiar to viewers in this community, but it's interesting when we chat with businesses who are our customers, how unfamiliar they are with these statistics. And so we share with them that, you know, having a disability puts you in the largest minority group in the world. This is not a small population, but when you think about disability, a lot of folks think about mobility-related accommodations. So when they're looking at their business and seeing if they think it's accessible, they're looking for lowered sinks and ramps and different accommodations that are super important, but leave out a good chunk of the population that we are trying to assist. So 70% of disabilities are non-visible intellectual and developmental disabilities. So this is clearly a population that is underserved in our community. And then that's my Uncle Brian in the corner in me in my little jumpsuit. And on the other side is my husband and his sister, who was diagnosed with autism actually 3 years ago as an adult. So go to the next slide. And this has some more statistics about who we serve. So again, this is probably familiar to a lot of you watching, but when we talk to companies, it's really surprising how few people really comprehend the size of this population. So we tell our businesses that, you know, 1 in 6 children have a developmental disability that you're not seeing when they walk in your door, but could be supported by an accommodation. That's about 200,000 families in the Phoenix metro area. The rate of diagnosis rate for autism is 1 in 59 children. And really what the problem that PAL exists to fix is this isolation. So I remember this is one of the first statistics I found after that train ride in Chicago, that 70% of families impacted by autism feel socially isolated, and 79% of individuals with autism feel socially isolated. And that's not okay. We need to be making communities where everyone gets to go and everybody is welcome, and we have supports in place for everybody to go to these great places like aquariums. So this is really our driving problem, and what we're striving to solve. The opportunity is for PAL to come in and partner with a business. Not only do we create these tools that make a better guest experience, but we're also allowing these organizations to market themselves to a totally different audience, an represented audience, and a large audience, also a loyal audience. So, if a venue does a good job of supporting guests with disabilities, we're probably going to go back, right? So these are all things that we use to try to motivate businesses to say yes to partnering with PAL. So how we create our PAL places. So obviously, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, and everybody is completely unique in their strengths and their challenges. So one of our biggest struggles right off the bat was, what do we really focus on addressing? Because there are so many things, so many directions we could go. But what we focus on is anxiety over new experiences, sensory sensitivities, and communication differences. And we feel if we can help in each of those three areas, we can be setting a family up for a better experience in the community. So to do that, we have a set of steps that we take for each of our partners. So we start with a site visit, and we bring a BCBA out to kind of task analyze and create a sensory baseline for the venue. This is one of my favorite parts. I love going to a venue and kind of trying to take it in from a different perspective, but I don't have a behavioral therapist background, and so we want to be sure everything is created with the best science and the best expertise. So we always partner with a BCBA, usually through ASU, to kind of task analyze the venue. We take all of the data we get from the site visit and we create a script for our PAL video. So the PAL video is the tool within our PAL Place toolkit that aims at decreasing anxiety over new experiences by showing you what to expect. So for this tool, we use video modeling and video social stories. So we will create a 3 to 4 minute social story that shows you what you can expect at a different venue. We'll start from parking, and you may have to walk a bit, but that's okay. It's going to be totally worth it, all the way to leaving and passing through the gift shop, everyone's favorite part. I may or may not get a gift today, and that's okay. We are sure to lace our video with lots of therapy and lots of different modeling of appropriate behaviors, and using that tool as a way to kind of, as a family, watch before you go somewhere and be prepared for a positive experience. Like I said, we always use video modeling, which is my favorite part of our programs. So we always star a kiddo with autism or another developmental disability as our movie star. And so we're constantly doing casting calls, and it's really a lot of fun. We make a big deal about our movie stars, and they're very proud of participating. So it's a good time. Once we get that video complete, we create our PAL guide. So this tool uses behavior chaining and video priming. So the video is meant to be watched before you go someplace new, or my kids watch it like if we're going to a Suns game, like on the way there. And so then it's kind of all that fresh content in their head. And then the PAL guide is meant to be used while you're at the venue. So if it kind of breaks the complex task of going someplace new into bite-sized pieces. So if you are going to a Suns game, you can look at your first step and you're going to go through security. And if that's something that, you know, is hard for you or maybe a little scary, you can watch a small video clip of Elle, who's our movie star in our PAL video, going through security and seeing that she's okay. And that's really empowering for another kiddo to go ahead and try it themselves. Okay, she was okay, I can do that too. Also within the video guide, or the PAL guide, excuse me, we have picture exchange communication. So if guests are nonverbal, they can communicate different things they feel and different things they need or want, like a bathroom, a staff person, a drink. We understand that a lot of kiddos who are nonverbal probably have their own assistive communication device, but the invitation from a venue to have something right there for them is pretty powerful. And every PAL Place staff knows they have this tool, and so it's a nice way to kind of facilitate communication between a concession stand worker and a family there who wants to communicate that they want a drink. So it's been really fun to see that, how that kind of affects the relationship between the staff and the family experiencing it. So once a facility has these tools in place, they are a PAL Place. And we give them their own web page on our website, and all the tools are kept there. They're always free for families. Excuse me. And available through our site and usually through our partners' websites as well. Okay, so this is the part where I wanted to kind of show you what we do. I think it makes more sense when you see it rather than me just talking a lot. So I'm going to try to share our Banner Children's Urgent Care PAL video. This program is really exciting to me because we've partnered with a lot of places that are fun to visit. But when we talk to our PAL families and I say, you know, where do you want to see a program? We always hear healthcare. I mean, if you think about it, nobody is going to urgent care on a good day. You know, there's already something not right. You know, someone's not feeling well, someone has an injury. Layer on top of that, you know, what happens behind these doors, and, you know, why are they poking me there and squeezing my arm with this? So I was very excited for this partnership, and I'll show you the video now. For this video, we use two different video models. So we've got Liliana, who's modeling what to expect if you need an x-ray, and we have Enoch modeling what to expect if you have flu-like symptoms. All right, let's see if this works. Welcome to the Banner Children's Urgent Care PAL video, helping you prepare for a trip. It's working on my end. If it's not on your end, feel free to let me know, ladies. So, meet Enoch and Liliana. They're both not feeling well, so their grown-ups are taking them to Banner Children's Urgent Care today. Enoch has a stuffy nose and a tummy ache. Liliana hurt her wrist. Their grown-ups know that Banner Children's Urgent Care always helps their kids feel better. Enoch's family checked in online, so their appointment time is reserved. Liliana and her mom walked in without an appointment. That's okay too. A staff member greets them at registration, and the kids wait patiently as their grown-ups take care of paperwork. Banner Children's Urgent Care helps lots of kids feel better, so there may be other people in the waiting room. Liliana checks how long the wait will be on the TV monitor. It's never too long here. Her mom loves that. Banner Children's Urgent Care is a specialized place for sick kids like Enoch and injured kids like Liliana. No grown-up patients are allowed. The medical staff are all fully certified, super friendly, and they wear name tags with their pictures on them. Enoch? A medical assistant calls each patient's name when it's their turn to be seen. Every patient at Banner Children's Urgent Care gets their height, weight, and vital signs checked. Vital signs are important measurements that show how your body is doing. They've both grown so much. Enoch and Liliana go into the exam rooms. Enoch feels a little nervous and wants to sit with his mom. Liliana sits on the exam table. The families explain what's wrong to the medical assistant, while the rest of their vitals are checked. Enoch and Liliana listen patiently and follow directions, while the medical assistant checks their blood pressure, body temperature, breathing rates, and heart rate. When the medical assistants are done, Enoch and Liliana wait patiently in the exam rooms for their doctors.
Hi, Liliana. How are you today?
When the doctors are done helping other patients, they knock, then enter the exam room. Doctors wear white lab coats. Enoch tells her where his pain is. Liliana shows the doctor how bad her wrist hurts using a picture scale. The doctors listen closely. They check each patient's ears, eyes, and throat. Enoch doesn't like his head being touched, but he listens to the doctor's directions. He knows she's there to help him. The doctors decide how to best help the kids feel better. The treatment can be different for everyone. For Liliana, the doctor wants to take a closer look at her wrist bones. For Enoch, the doctor recommends special medicine to help him breathe more easily. Medicine comes in different forms, like pills or breathing machines. The doctor wants Enoch to breathe in his medicine through a breathing machine. The machine bubbles, makes a purring noise, and gently releases mist like the humidifier he has at home. Enoch breathes in the medicine mist. After about 10 minutes, it's gone. He's happy the medicine will help him feel better. Liliana and her mom get to go to a special room where an x-ray camera will take a picture of her wrist bones. Cool. Everyone who gets an x-ray wears a special apron. It is heavy, and mom gets to wear one too. The x-ray machine makes a humming sound. Say cheese. The x-ray picture is super fast, and Liliana thinks, all done. Back in the exam room, the doctor says they need to wrap her wrist in a splint to help her bones heal. The medical assistant is super gentle as he wraps the soft part around her hand and wrist. Liliana stays calm and still. The splint helps her wrist feel snug and protected. Enoch is feeling better after the medicine, and Liliana likes her splint. The doctors come back in with some papers. These are what happened at Banner Children's Urgent Care and what the patients can do at home to take care of themselves. Enoch and Liliana were such awesome patients, they each get a treat. Enoch and Liliana thank their medical assistants and doctors for helping them. They are so happy they got the help they needed at Banner Children's Urgent Care. Time to go home and rest. Be Aided for Everyone by Banner Children's Urgent Care and PAL. With PAL, everyone gets to go. All right, so I hope that worked on your end too, but it's a nice example of what our PAL videos do, and kind of putting a lot of detail into what to expect and taking the mystery out of something like going to urgent care. We try to put in a lot of information for the kids to soak up, but also for the parents. So, you know, we'll mention, you know, Enoch's feeling nervous and wants to sit with his mom. So you know that's okay. And about how long the breathing treatment will take, and how to check in without waiting too long. So, you know, this is all based on evidence-based best practices and behavioral therapy, but it's a lot for moms because, you know, we want to know what to expect when we're going someplace new. Another piece I forgot to mention earlier, on each of our PAL partners' web pages, we'll have a list of insider tips. So these are things really directed to parents and caregivers for them to understand what to expect, like, can I bring a snack here? One of our insider tips for Banner Children's Urgent Care is, it can get really cold in the waiting room. You can bring a blanket or a lovey or a book. Just some little tips that can make the experience a lot more pleasant, and are really good for moms to know. Okay. So the next slide is how we promote PAL places. So when we first started PAL, we just made the tools and we're like, yay, we did it. But going back to that problem that we're really focusing on is this social isolation. So there are two pieces to that, right? We need the businesses to have the tools in place so they can better support all our families. But we also need to get the word out there, because there's a habit of not going out. And so like the family I met on the train, they didn't even think about going to the aquarium. And I just kind of cross my fingers all the time that they've seen the programs that the aquarium has now. But, we can't just kind of cross our fingers. We need to get the word out there and really promote these places so that we can change this habit of staying in. So each of our PAL partners has a whole promotional phase. So we do promotions through a variety of different channels, but a lot of it's on social media. So we'll post about our partners. We'll do Facebook ads and different campaigns. One of our partners is Flower Child, so that takes us into 8 different states now. Since we're new to those states, we do a lot of marketing there so that folks know that Flower Child has these resources, and it's a good way for us to branch out in those markets. Each PAL place also gets a little PAL box. It's super cute, but it comes with a PAL cling, different cards, so staff members, even if it was their first day and they had no idea what PAL was, they can just hand somebody a business card and it lays it all out. They have little stands, and then PAL bracelets, and also an infographic, which I'm going to go into more in the next slide. Other ways we promote our PAL places, we do a lot of PR support. We'll put out press releases and work with the media. We also work with influencers, so they'll go to our different PAL places and comment on the tools, which is reaching a totally new audience. And then we have some earned media through press. And that little guy in the corner is actually my son, so I love that. I love that article. What we've really found with these promotions is that, of course, to families impacted by disability, because these tools are designed to help them, but we also use universal design. So, if your kiddo, because most kiddos don't like going to urgent care or get a little nervous about it, you can still use the video. It's not labeled like this is just for this audience. The universal design is meant to make it for everyone. And by working with influencers and through these different channels, we're able to reach a wider audience, not just an audience of families impacted by disability. Not only can everybody use the tools, but we're finding, folks are more likely to eat at Flower Child rather than somewhere else, just because they know they're doing this. So there's a lot that goes into the promotional part of our PAL places, which is something new. We did not understand that we needed to do that work, but it is a big part of what we do now. So back to kind of the PAL box and what each venue gets. We know that we need to educate the staff at each of our PAL places, basically on the fact that they have the resources. We tell our families that when they visit a PAL place, they're not going to a venue employed by behavioral therapists. They're going to the Children's Museum, and the Children's Museum staff are there to run the Children's Museum, but they also have these resources so that everybody's kind of doing their part to make it a good experience. And one thing we provide is this infographic for break rooms. So every PAL place has this in their break room, and the staff have been trained on it. And it's really very basic, and that's kind of the point. And we explain how to be the best to your guests with disabilities, and it's really how to be the best to any guest. This is how you would treat anyone who walks through your door. But sometimes employees can be a little confused over how to help or what to say, and they're worried about being politically correct. And I've seen it so many times where you don't know what to say, so you just turn your back and say nothing. We're trying to change that habit and give them this framework, and it's how may I help you? And just starting with hello, like I see you as a guest here, and engaging, listening to what the person says, always directly talking to the guest, not looking to a caregiver, speaking to a child if they're talking to you, and then adding some patience to that. So it might take a while for someone to communicate what they need, but be patient, and they'll let you know. So this is a really basic framework that we use, but it's another tool for our PAL venues. So what we found so far, the impact for our PAL places, it's kind of touched on all these points, but they're provided a differentiated access to a significant yet underrepresented market. So like I said, this is a big group of people that are looking for invitations to come out and looking for resources, and it's a big deal when you take the time to speak with them and provide tools. So an example of that, one of our partners is the Arizona Science Center, and they were just listed in Pop Sugar as one of the top 15 sensory-friendly family attractions in the U.S. And that was because of our program and the resources available. It also helps growing brand awareness by differentiating themselves in crowded markets. So what Banner's objective really is to stand out from all the other urgent cares. And they're doing that with these PAL tools. And, we're really highlighting for them the universal design of the tools, that they're for everybody, and especially at a children's urgent care. Our PAL places also create opportunities to engage with their staff. And this has been really fun to see because we like to do launch events. So we'll have parties at some of our different PAL places, and just chatting with the staff and realizing that almost everybody is touched by this if you just take the time to talk with everybody. And so they feel really proud to work for an organization that supports guests with disabilities. And it's creating stronger teams at different PAL venues, which is just a secondary benefit we didn't know would happen, but it's really neat to see. We just partnered with the Fresno Chaffee Zoo in California, and they're actually taking all the PAL training. We did on-site training for their whole team, but now every new staff member has to be familiar with all the PAL tools, and it's incorporated right into their onboarding, which is really great because this wasn't a thing very recently. We're also helping brands build equity through socially responsible initiatives. And a good example of that is Flower Child, and how we are helping them enter these new markets. So Flower Child is based in Phoenix, so a lot of their restaurants are here, but now they have 14 locations in 8 states where people don't know who Flower Child is, who Sam Fox restaurants are, and this is a way for them to enter the market as something different. And so they're really proud of our partnership, and they use it as a tool when they're going to DC to stand out from all the other restaurants who are making cool food and just doing that. Flower Child is making great food, and they care about the community. On the bottom of this slide is logos from some of our partners. So I'm really excited that we're kind of expanding what type of venues we work with. So we do a lot of sporting events, museums, but we just did a whitewater rafting video, which was really cool. We also, the urgent care video was very meaningful to me. We're working with a hotel, and we also have an employment video out, so helping adults with autism understand what to expect when they work at Blue Star Recyclers, which is a really great program I could talk about for hours, but I will spare you right now. So this is just a snapshot of kind of our promotions for Flower Child. This was when they first launched, so this is not current data, this just goes till December, but you can see people get excited about it and want to engage with it. So we've had 9,600 views just on Facebook of the Flower Child video. But what's more important to us, we're really happy that our Pal Place businesses kind of get all of this benefit from partnering with us, but what motivates us the most is the impact for families. So we're really focused on making sure that not only do we have the tools, but they're being used. It's been a journey, but we are getting there and have over 48,000 PAL video views. So folks are watching the content, which makes me very happy. We have an average of 2,300-ish monthly visitors to our website. We actually, the last 2 months were our biggest ever, and we had almost 7,000 visitors. So it's exciting to see people identify palexperiences.org as a resource and actually be visiting. We're excited that we have a variety of places, and we're excited to see the feedback we get on social, and that's my favorite part of all the promotional stuff we do, is seeing the comments. And we're so lucky to be in a community that accepts everyone and meets them where they are. Go check out Flower Child. That was from the Nevada location. Thank you for your love towards the families. So darn amazing. I'm speechless. This is amazing. And this one at the top, I want to go just to support it. So this is an example of kind of that brand equity. And these are things we share with our partners to motivate them to keep our partnership going. And we use this to try to attract new places. So we do have a lot of support from our board of directors and different organizations in the community. We've got a team of 4 at PAL, but then our board of directors really provide a lot of insight, and we try to strengthen the areas where we're weak. So we have Dr. Lori Sperry, who's a BCBA and a professor at Yale, and provides a lot of guidance for us to make the best possible tools. We also have folks on the business side and from special ed and from the venue side, so we try to round it out and have the most impact we can. Our community partners are very helpful in helping us getting the word out, and opportunities like this are wonderful to kind of just let people know that these resources are available. And that's all I have written. I want to say for folks watching that I hope, I know there's a lot of time taken by kind of preparing our kids for what to expect when you go out somewhere. And a lot of moms are making their own social stories and doing all this work. And, we are working hard so you don't have to do that. We're trying to expand this network so that going out can be easier and can be more fun, and just take one little thing off your plate. So I hope PAL can be a nice resource for you. And Michelle, thanks again for the opportunity to share.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, like I said, I absolutely love what you do. It's such a need in the community. And watching your presentation and seeing how many different places you guys have already gone into. And I like the breadth that you're getting. You know, you're not just attractions anymore. When you showed that picture and like the hotel was there, I was like, oh my God, thank God. Every time I take my children on vacation, like the first night is terrible because they're just so overstimulated. And so I know I'm going to be watching that one with my children when we go on our next trip for sure.
Good. Well, we've got bids in with the airport and airlines too. So we're trying to get in those spaces as well, because we'd love to just make it easy to go on a family vacation, and they should be there. So
yeah, that's wonderful. That's really great. I was hoping you were going to say that, because the whole idea of travel is hard. So, you know, even to put together like a travel package, watch the video of, you know, how to get on the plane, and then watch the hotel video. That's awesome.
Yep.
I think that's great. You know what else I loved about the banner video that you showed, and it did come through perfectly, was how much you talked about sensory during the video. And, you know, my children are very sensory, you know, triggered. And so when you're, oh, this is going to sound like this, and this sounds like this, I was like, oh, that is awesome. Because you don't think about those things typically.
Right.
But our kids are so important. And so I love that you guys are really doing a great job looking at everything that you possibly can, which is fantastic. And it makes it such a value to us as consumers.
Well, thank you. I really want to figure out a way to make smell come through on videos, because that's the biggest thing for my kids. Are very sensitive to smell. So, you know, we just recorded voiceover for the zoo program, and so I'm like, it's gonna smell like an ocean, and here it smells like a farm, you know. But I'd love to get figure out how to blast some scent through videos someday, so we can really cover everything.
That would be nice.
Let me know if you figure that out.
So Melanie, you know, as members join and as people watch this video, you know, if we're like, oh my God, I really wish this existed for this place that we really love to go, how do we help you get more places on board and get more companies interested in being a PAL place?
Yeah, you are brand advocates. So, you know, the most powerful thing is just to tell an organization, hey, you know, have you ever heard of PAL? We'd really like these tools available. And to be honest, it's worked before. We're actually launching today our Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary PAL program. It's a very cool place if you haven't seen it. And after today, there will be tools available. But that all stemmed from somebody saying, you know, I'd really like some support. I want to bring my class here, and we don't know what to expect. So, you know, it's one thing for me to go give my pitch to an airport, but if the airport is hearing from their customers that they want these tools, it means a lot more. So, you know, being a brand advocate for our work is priceless to us.
Yeah, and I was, you know, watching your presentation, and I was like, oh, I need to post on Instagram when I use it and I'm out and about. And I was like, I could totally do that and help you. And,
thank you. That's huge.
Awareness. And, you know, I think sometimes we forget to do those things, and, you know, because we do use you. And, you know, I think if all of us collectively just start really putting it out there, how much this is helping and how much we need this in all these different locations, it'll really help to get you guys more business and get us more places where we can see our children and feel comfortable. You know, so my son is nonverbal, and so he does have an AAC device, but I do love that you guys offer the kind of like the picture exchange system on the app that you have, because sometimes he doesn't like to use his AAC device. It's too big. It's, you know, he gets shy using it in public. Sometimes just like a phone, it's like a lot easier, you know, and he's like, okay, you know, I no one's all show, you know, use this. This is fine. You know, so I do love that that's an option.
Oh, good.
It's really great.
it's really neat to see, since staff are aware of it at our PAL places, because I've seen staff try to look at an augmented communication device and they're like, what's happening? You know, like there's so much education then that has to go on both ways. But if it's a picture of a bathroom, it's really neat to see that communication happen where, you know, maybe it wouldn't have before. And anyways, so I'm thank you for that feedback.
Yeah. Well, you know, thank you so much for being here today. And this was a really, really wonderful presentation. Please keep us up to date whenever you launch a new site, and we'll make sure that we let our members know. And that way everybody is like made aware when things are coming online. And so we have more places to go.
For sure. I can definitely do that.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melanie.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. You too.